Will Lopez is the Kevin Bacon of the accounting profession. He's better than the Kevin Bacon of the accounting profession, because at most you have 3 degrees of separation. And if you do, that's because you just graduated with your accounting degree. Please welcome to the stage my friend and the head of accountant community, Will Lopez.
Out on the verge of the rest of our lives tonight, top of the world.
Wow. What's up, Gusto? Next, another round of applause for Josh Reeves, our incredible founder. Please show some love in the chat. It's going to be super hard to follow, by the way. I'm just so excited that we're all here today. I'm excited that all of you are here today. It's such an important moment for the accounting profession, really, when we think about payroll. And so I would love to just kind of start off with a personal story. So prior to joining Gusto, and back in January 2017, I was sitting in front of one of my largest and actually one of my favorite cloud-based accounting and advisory clients. It's okay to have favorites, right? I think so. I'm sure you have favorites. And I remember exactly the look on his face when I saw him share something with me. Now, he actually had been working with my company since 2011. And to this day, he actually owns a wildly successful consulting business in the Bay Area in San Francisco. And so when we were sitting there, he shared with me basically this. He said, I don't even know where to start. He's like, Will, I know you know the numbers. Of course, you're my accountant, right? I know you know the numbers, and you've seen how much we've spent, but we've spent over $600,000 last year in recruiter fees. We're growing like crazy. We have more work than we can handle, but with every single one of those new hires, no one stayed past 3 months. Now, personally, I think it hit me really deep. And I think the reason why it was wild to me because my team was doing a lot for his company. We were doing bookkeeping and financial advisory work. We were doing tax prep and tax planning. We were even implementing technology, doing app advisory work, of course, even payroll compliance work. Now, anyone who knows me kind of knows that I am super proud of being a modern accountant. And at the time when he shared that with me, I had no idea why I felt like I was just kind of missing the mark on that. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I thought I was covering everything for them. And so that experience, just caused me to fundamentally question everything I thought I knew about myself. I thought about my role in front of my clients, and primarily through payroll. So before we kind of really unpack how you're going to elevate client services and what that really means, let's slow down just a second so we can speed up here in the next few speakers. Let me share with you 2 realizations I still carry with me today from that experience. So first, I realized that payroll compliance is filled with advisory moments, right? And it was right in front of me the whole time. I was in front of it a lot, and yet I wasn't able to connect the dots for myself. And my client, who was a struggling employer, was looking to me for guidance on his people. And now I know why, because I was processing his payroll. So I think for clients, they were just making that immediate connection that because I was processing their payroll, I could advise on their clients. And the payroll work alone approach that I provided did not meet his needs, and it certainly wasn't helping me help him. I mean, that's just the truth. And in fact, I think the more he shared about his people concerns, I think the more confident I became that the type of payroll support that I was providing was actually pushing me kind of further in a direction I didn't want to go, especially as a modern professional. So despite popular opinion, I think being a great advisor is not exclusive. It really isn't to consulting on numbers, right? And financials. We can be great advisors through people and through payroll. In fact, I think in a recent playbook about modernizing payroll that I got via email, I won't call it out so that way I don't get in trouble, by the way, it continued to perpetuate the hyper-focus that payroll compliance work alone is the ultimate aim of advisors when managing payroll for clients. So here's just a summary of those modern tips I want to share with you. Check out the wisdom that's at hand here. So set up formal procedures to better manage payroll, right? Automate compliance work using tech, right? Having clients do some of the work, it's remedial, let them push it on them. How about remit tax payments before they're due? Oh, and don't forget processing year-end transactions. Now, I don't know if you notice anything there. There's nothing really modern about that. I think that we've been saying that for decades now around payroll. And I'm sharing that list to kind of reiterate that we are still in an environment that still kind of, we say modern payroll, we say push payroll forward, but then we kind of like list the things that we just do that we know we need to do. So payroll compliance work alone isn't wrong. So hear me there, right? But it isn't right, and it's greatly lacking on what really needs to happen. So I'm personally convinced, really convinced, that there is absolute untapped potential when you take a moment to reimagine and elevate an essential service like payroll. And this is why Gusto Next exists, right? To empower like a wider perspective on payroll, benefits, HR, people operations. In that recent survey that Josh was mentioning, it shows a significant opportunity to think differently about payroll, right? Over 1/3, he mentioned 41%, but over 1/3 are willing to pay you more to move beyond payroll compliance, right? And provide them with proactive advice that optimizes their company culture, that takes care of their teams. And that matters. That's great work. And this kind of leads me to the second realization that I had, that to be a keen, modern, transformational advisor to another person, we must accept the fact that advisory is a journey, not a destination. Let me say that again. Advisory is a journey, not a destination. Now, hear me out here. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I think I've been trained to believe that payroll compliance, as we deliver it now and as we approach it, is at the highest point of development. Apotheosis, I think, is like the philosophical term, right? It's set in stone, very little is going to change, and we tend to put too much emphasis on the to-dos of payroll compliance. We minimize candid conversations to transactions. We fixate on the technical details, regulations, processes, all good stuff, but we need to move beyond that. And it's because the to-dos are part of our world. And so because it consumes so much of who we are, I think, as professionals, it leaves kind of little room for imagination, innovation, and even progression to take hold. A sobering fact here is that 86% of employers, it is essential for you to consider right now their team's well-being when providing them advice, right? While the fact is sobering, I think it's filled with immense opportunity. When I look at NASBA, right, the profession's agency for professional development, they have top 5 reasons to become a CPA that kind of speak to our ability to capitalize on the opportunities. I'm going to hit on 2. One of them is career satisfaction, right? Accessing the unique advantages in giving back to society while maintaining prestige and respect by peers, clients, and the general population. The second one is actually what I would call upward mobility, right? It's our role to continually progress our mindset, our professional skills, pushing practice lines and service offerings like payroll to new heights. So that leads me to share basically a question I want to ask you. Have you ever thought of payroll as anything more than a compliance service? Seriously, have you had the opportunity to really slow down in order to really speed up around other areas of your practice life? Have you had the opportunity to pull away from conventional wisdom, payroll wisdom, and to really rethink what it means to deliver payroll as a professional service? Look, I get it. I've been an accountant for a long time. I love accounting. I'm just an accountant that works at Gusto, by the way. So, that's why you're here. The profession has come a long way. But until now, payroll really has not been part of the conversation, especially the advisory conversation. That's why today, at Gusto Next, we're planning the flag down deep in reimagining payroll services entirely, pushing it further than it's ever been, starting with you, starting now. And the reason why is we're at another inflection point. It's another critical point for us to continue the work of an advisor, right? Because it's a journey. And it's vital to continue deepening relationships between you, the advisor, and your clients. And between your clients, and employers, your clients, and their teams, right? Because payroll compliance, as we provide it right now, really isn't enough. It's not enough. And it's greatly limited in scope. It's negatively widening the gap when clients need more support for their people. I mean, COVID proved it. COVID accentuated it. And people advisory starts with payroll. It's the only way forward to fundamentally modernize payroll as a professional service. And it is actually where my client desperately needed me to be at the time. So personally, I'm just really glad to live vicariously through all of you looking back to that experience. So payroll and people advisory, or people advisory, really turns payroll on its head. And it transforms it from this like compliance-based, low-margin stuff to the foundation for a rich advisory service that better enables you to serve your clients and their teams. And it teaches you how to use payroll as the foundation to help clients across all phases of payroll, right? From the moment they come on board, right? From the onboarding process to when they leave, offboarding, and everything in between. And in the process, you end up taking care of their team and your firm. And that matters because people matter, right? And at Gusto, we've started the revolution of caring for people alongside 12,000 accounting firms nationwide. Hello, yeah? Who come from all walks of life, from all areas of expertises. And the exciting part is that people advisory is for every firm and for every client, large or small, and many have joined the cause. In just over 1 year since the dawn of people advisory, 3,500 practices nationwide have started their people advisory journey with Gusto. Say what? Say what? And they are well on their way to rethinking the payroll service experience. And that's incredible. So I personally want to invite all of you to join us in building that broader coalition to better advise clients, right? And appropriately represent the modern workforce. So with that said, I mean, there's an opportunity because people guidance demand is incredibly high. And people advising supply is what? Incredibly low. And advice on people management is among the top concerns that business owners have right now, that your clients have. In that same research that Gusto has, when employers were asked to select their top 2 concerns, finance and accounting, and people operations and management were their choices. Here's what I'm hearing. In essence, let me go back. In essence, here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that 8 out of 10 employers are saying yes to people advisors and to people advisory. And that puts you right smack in the middle. You are best positioned, the most trusted advisor to continue stepping up and pushing payroll forward, right? And you have a significant role to play with your clients and the society at large. And we all know it as professionals. I know it, and I take it very seriously. And delivering more value through payroll, which will result in recurring revenue for your firm, is the goal. That's how you're going to keep your practice around. You know, we don't give away work for free as professionals. And because as a people advisor, you can actually solve those 2 concerns that I just mentioned by combining your financial acumen, your expertise, what you are really, really good at, with knowledge of people operations and best practices around it to really help clients create a great place to work for their teams. Let me say that again. And so your role here is really to help your client create a great place to work for their teams. And if you can do that through your advice, through your consultation, through who you are in that relationship with that, you can make that reality for them. So let me end by just saying that, I'm personally excited to continue the work side by side with all of you here today of broadening care for employers, right, and their teams, while also securing your opportunity to move up the chain of value, growing your practice, earning more revenue, creating new things. And I think together we can really transform payroll services as we know it and inspire others to do the same around the world, starting by here first in the United States. So it is time to really take the next big leap with selling and delivering payroll services. Thank you for being here at Gusto Next.